sort of better. Okay, so I kind of took a break this week, or this past week, because of just how up and down it was. I mean, for example, I heard back from a student and he got into college and that was awesome. But then a couple hours later, there was rioting at the Capitol. So, up and down. And that also means I haven't really been reading. And so I wanted to do this vlog specifically to get myself back into reading, especially as the new year is starting. I did today just finish Skeleton Key by Stephen King, which is a series of, or a collection of short stories. And just to update you, I liked 7 of the stories in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. So that would have been The Mist, The Monkey, Paranoid, A Chant, Word Processor of the Gods for Owen, Survival Type, and The Ballad of the Flexible Bullet. I think my top ones from them is Paranoid, A Chant, and For Owen. And if you don't know, Owen is actually one of Stephen King's son. One of 2 sons. And so I just thought it was a really cute thing, honestly. And I also finished The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mendel this day. I was really close to finishing it. It was a good book. It was really interesting, I should say. I really enjoyed the change of perspectives in the book and just going through the story to round it out, really, and find out what was happening. So for this vlog in particular, I want to read, start, and finish Wilder Girls by Rory Power. And again, I believe it's a dystopian book. No, not dystopian. This one is about a disease, a school trip gone wrong kind of disease. I've heard both good and bad opinions about this book, and I'm hoping this one would be good. I mean, right here, Cosmopolitan, right here, Cosmopolitan said it's your new favorite book. So we shall see. And then I also want to focus on this Taylor Jenkins Reid book I just got from the library. If This Is Us. One second. I'm gonna look this up to make sure I have it right. Maybe in Another Life. That was it. And I'm actually really excited about reading this book just because it sounds incredible. The summary says it's about this one woman who doesn't know what to do in her life, but she makes a decision and it starts showing the perspective of one choice of that decision and the perspective of another choice of that decision and kind of her diverting lives because of one choice. And when I was reading it, all I could think about was Idina Menzel's musical called If/Then. And it's kind of about the same thing. This woman makes a choice. In this case, the person Idina Menzel plays makes a choice about what she's going to do with her life. And you have one storyline or one plot line going forward and saying, this is what would have happened if she made this choice. And another plot line that says, this is what would have happened if she made this other choice. And I really enjoyed that musical. So I'm hoping that the book that Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote is going to be just, or at least similar, and also as satisfying. So 2 main books. Let's get to this. I will update you later, especially after I see the zoo lights, and I'll show images of that if I take them. Bye. All right, so today has been nice. I was able to just kind of relax and take my time to read, which is really what I needed. I really needed that. And so because of that, there we go. And so because of that, I was able to get a good chunk out of both books. So starting with the one I read the least, which is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I was able to get about 50 or so pages into that one. And it was enough for our main character, Hannah, to diverge into her destinies, outcomes. She moved back home to LA because things aren't going correct in her life. They're not going how she wanted it to go. She just doesn't have any prospects where she was at in New York. And so she moves home to LA with her best friend. And the same night she moved back, she went to a bar with a bunch of her high school friends to just like have a welcome home party. And that's where she re-meets Ethan, who is her first love, her first kiss, her first everything. And it diverges from when Ethan asks if she wants to stay at the party or go home with her friend. And you have one timeline then where she said yes, and then you have one timeline where she says no. And that's basically where I'm at. I think it's a really interesting concept, and it'll be curious to go between the timelines because there's, at least right now, not much distinguishing where you're at as a reader. So we'll see. I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm excited to see what it kind of turns into. Now, the second book that I'm reading this week is The Wonder Girls, right? And I was actually kind of wrong. Not actually, I was wrong when I described what this book was about. It is about a disease called Tox. Yes, Tox. It is about a disease called Tox. However, this book takes place a year and a half after it started infecting this school. And the school's on an island, they're remote, it's really hard for people to get to them. And it really focuses on these three main girls. You have Hedley, Brait, maybe, and Reese. And they're supposed to be best friends, inseparable, and they have been able to survive, not without casualties, but they have been able to survive for a year and a half with this disease. I did say all of the teachers had died, and most of the teachers have died. The headmistress is still there, and Miss Welch. So it's just a very interesting concept. And as you can see, I'm about halfway or so through this book, just because I'm curious to see what's happening. I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. And you wouldn't think it's that action-packed, but it really, really is. And it's more of a mystery than a dystopian-esque novel, I would say. And I haven't really gotten into the horror except for the descriptions of what this disease is doing to the girls. It's changing them into, well, it's giving them similarities to the animals that are living on the island. Like one girl has a claw, one girl has gills, that kind of thing. It's really weird, and it's very painful for these girls, where some of them end up dying, right? Yeah, I like it. I will say there's pro LGBTQ in this book, and I am for it. I love it. It's great. So I guess I'm gonna sign off and hopefully get to these books and read some more. And I'll try to check in later tonight or early tomorrow. Bye. Welcome back. It is the nighttime now, And I actually finished 2 books today, which one I had no idea I was going to read, and the other I'm really excited to finish because it was really good. So let's start with that one. I did finish Wilder Girls this evening. I have to admit, I love it. I think this book is such an interesting take on disease tropes and just kind of apocalyptic-esque tropes. The way that Rory Power constructed his world, or their world, was incredibly interesting because as a reader, I went into it thinking this was about the development of the disease and about the girls reacting to it. However, it was something completely different. Rory Power was able to construct a world that one of the worst things that happened to these girls was a year and a half later, and these are the consequences and what they're dealing with at this point. And the ending was really interesting and just really thought-provoking too. Also, I think I made a comment in the last clip that said this book wasn't gross or grotesque or horrific. I take it back. As you get into the second half of the book, there are definitely some descriptions that took me aback, and I don't think I get taken aback all that often or surprised on these descriptions. So reading that was interesting to say the least, and then definitely seeing the result. I really wish we had more on the world building, not only the island the girls were on, but also the outside influences. However, I don't think we're gonna get that, and it's interesting because I feel like I'm okay with that, but at the same time, it's like that little nagging wish in the back of my head. But Wilder Girls was a great read. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5, which I'm very happy with. And I kind of want to look into their next book. So we'll see. Wilder Girls was finished. And then today I ended up finishing The Humans of New York, which I wasn't expecting to read at all this month. However, I saw it and I just wanted to pick it up after reading that apocalyptic horror book. And this was everything I needed afterwards. It's very heartwarming. They have some very happy stories. And Brandon Stanton, I knew going into it, I liked his work. I've been following Humans of New York for a couple of years now. And it's everything that I wanted. Pictures are beautiful, the stories are beautiful. Some of them honestly made me laugh. And this one's more of a photography book than the nonfiction story book that I think Humans is. And I'm not gonna lie, I liked it. I needed something low-key, just something to visually please me tonight before I dive into my other book. But I do highly suggest it. I just thought it was a fun book. But those are my 2 books tonight. I didn't read any more of the Taylor Jenkins Reid book, but I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow or at least get a good halfway through it. So we'll see. And therefore, I will update you tomorrow and I'll see you later. Bye. Hey. So it is late afternoon, the next day after I last updated you, and I'm about halfway through Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I'll have to say that it's definitely an interesting book. I really do enjoy how Reid keeps bringing up fate and chances and decisions, what ifs, or even the lack of what ifs, because in both timelines, I guess, both decisions, our main character, Hannah, continues parroting like, the decisions have been made, this is now fate, destiny, what have you, and there's no point in turning back and saying, what if? It's a continual theme, and yet the book contradicts itself, or at least the book contradicts Hannah's opinions, because you have these two what ifs, right? I mean, you have one decision where she said yes to Ethan, and then you have one decision where she says no to Ethan, and they diverge pretty abruptly and pretty significantly, honestly. And I'll have to say, I don't know which fate, I guess, I want Hannah to end up with, because right now, one is clearly interesting. She finds out she's pregnant, she's with Ethan, she has a dog, she's getting a job and a car. And that's all well and good, and it gives me little fuzzies, right? Things are going well for Hannah. And then in the other timeline, when she said no to Ethan, she gets into a pretty significant car crash. She lost her baby, she meets another dude. It's very, very interesting, and I'm incredibly curious on how Reid is going to end this book. I know I'm only halfway through, but are we going to get two endings? Is it going to merge into one and really hone in on that what if concept? I don't know. And I guess I'll have to figure it out as I read, honestly. We'll see. We will see. But in saying that, I really want to get back to reading this book so I can finish it. So I will update you hopefully tonight when I finish it. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But bye for now. I just realized that I filmed every single segment of this vlog in this chair. Sorry. But I did just finish the Maybe in Another Life, and I have to say I'm actually pleasantly surprised and happy with how it turned out. So like I've been saying, it's always about like, what is destiny, what does decision making, how does that turn out, and then of course different lives because of different decisions. And I honestly think Reid succeeded at this fully in the book, where it wasn't necessarily the romantic fairy tale ending in both scenarios, but both scenarios had a good ending. And it seemed to just like come around in a circle as well. And I was pleasantly impressed, because I didn't really know at a certain point, about 70% through it, if I was going to like how it would go. But then you had the last couple of chapters and it just kind of put a bow on top of the book, or like that cherry on top, if you know what I mean. And I definitely wouldn't say it's the same rating or hype as Daisy Jones and the Six or The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. However, it was a pleasant book. It's definitely a romantic book, and it was just cute and kind of warm-hearted, and also making you think, like, what is destiny? What is life? What are decisions? What happens if you stop asking yourself, what if? And I just think it was a good book, point blank. And I'm very happy I read it. It does make me like Reid as an author even more. And yes, I've only read 3 books from her now, and I would say this is number 3, but that's still saying a lot considering the first 2 are some of my favorite books I've ever read. So I do highly recommend this book, and I hope if anyone's watching this, you get a chance to read it at one point in your life. But that is going to be my vlog. Sorry it's not as interesting or action-packed or filled with a whole bunch of stuff in it like I tried to do. Question mark. But it's what I could come up with this weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye.